Have you ever seen a safe cracking competition? Sebastian was pushed in. The other 6 are all expert thieves from all over the world. The first game is to open the safe within 7 minutes. The referee calls and the game begins. The expert thieves all start trying to crack their safes, while Sebastian stood there in a daze. "I'm just a locksmith, not a thief," then the referee shouted.
Only 4 competitors advance to the next stage.
Sebastian thinks that since it's a game, then why not give it a try? At that moment, Neo was the first to open a safe, taking out a victory gun from the inside. Immediately afterward, the second and third place thieves smoothly opened their safes. Seeing that there is only the last place left, Sebastian quickly cracked the code and twisted the handle. The safe opened. He easily won last place. The semi-finals followed. This time the difficulty increased significantly. Open a more complex safe in 5 minutes. At first glance everyone understood. First, crack the code on the left dial and then to the one on the right. Sebastian begins turning the first dial. First, he adjusts it to 56 and then rotates it counterclockwise to 30. A click is heard. The first dial is done. Next to solve the second one, but Neo next to him was faster than Sebastian. He was the first to open the safe. 5 seconds later Sebastian was done. We now advance to the finals. Only Sebastian and Neo are left. This time it's a national bank level security vault. Not only are there 3 dials outside the door, there are also 12 gears guarding the interior. The game begins. Neo puts on a professional listening device. Now we see Sebastian patting the security door lightly with his hand. Through sound, he understands the internal structure of the door. A relaxed Sebastian looked at the anxious expression on Neo's face. With only 28 seconds left on the timer, Sebastian started. He placed his ears on the safe, making sure to not miss any subtle sound. Gently turning the first dial, the gears in the door start to run. The safety latch fastens, followed by the second dial. As Sebastian turns the dial, the second safety latch is also fastened. Next is the third dial. He rotates it counterclockwise to 38, then rotates to 29. A crisp sound emanates from inside. A smile appeared at the corner of Sebastian's mouth. He turns the door handle, and the 12 gears all rotate at the same time. The safe door opens, and all this only took Sebastian 7 seconds. Everyone at the scene applauded and celebrated for him. A mysterious black girl named Gwen looked at him from a distance. Sebastian doesn't know it yet, but his life is about to change drastically. Sebastian has liked studying mechanical locks since he was a child, and the more complicated the lock, the more he loved it. On this day, Gwen found Sebastian in a coffee shop, confessing that she is a thief. In only 7 minutes, she had stolen an item from every customer in the shop. She is taking advantage of the zombie crisis to plan a big heist, and she needs a master safe cracker. Sebastian wanted to refuse, but Gwen said that the safe is part of the Ring Cycle series created by the world's most famous locksmith. Hearing this, Sebastian's heart skipped a beat. It turns out, decades ago, the world's greatest locksmith had exhausted his life's energy to create 4 legendary safes. They are the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, the Siegfried, and the Twilight of the Gods. Now they are the doors of the vaults in the world's central banks. As an avid safe enthusiast, Sebastian desperately wants to see these divine safes. So he joined Gwen's team. Here he met other members of the team. Corina, a long-haired hacker who could hack into the system of the Ministry of Defense at the age of 15. Rolf, a bearded valet and getaway driver with amazing drifting skills. And lastly Brad, a muscular man who claims to be the leader. They made a plan to come to Paris to attempt their first bank robbery. Sebastian was sweating nervously. First, Sebastian pretended to go to the toilet and snuck into the bank. Then Gwen also swaggered into the bank and stole the security guard's key along the way. Gwen asked to use the safety deposit box. The president of the bank personally received customers and guarded the door. Next, it was Corina's turn. She spoke English. They knew already that the president is the only person in the bank who could speak English, and the president is the only person who could come greet her. Gwen and Sebastian took the opportunity to sneak into the vault. See how he opens the world's greatest safes. The safe is called the Rheingold. Sebastian came up and hugged it. Sebastian performed a little warm-up for his fingers, turning on his phone and playing some background music. The Rheingold's lock is forged from a mixture of brass and silver, and is 2 meters thick. The internal sound is isolated to the maximum extent possible. There are tens of thousands of precision machines with complex arrangements inside, with billions of ways it can be fastened. If there is a slight error, it will be locked permanently. The contents of the vault will also be burned to ashes in an instant. Sebastian can only try his best to keep his ears close to the door, listening to every subtle sound. He rotates the first dial, accurately to 10 degrees. As Sebastian carefully turned the dial, the internal gears rotate little by little. The horizontal axis also slowly moves in place. Sebastian breathed a sigh of relief. He begins attempting to crack the code on the second dial. As Sebastian turns the dial, the internal mechanism bounces open in turn, then buckle loudly. The door lock bearing begins to rotate. Finally, it's the third dial. This time the requirements are more demanding. Sebastian first adjusts to 20 degrees, then adjusting to 5 degrees. He held his breath and gently turned the dial. The safety gear inside the lock core rotates quickly. The bearing gradually rotates in place. Looks like it's done. He turns the handle. The safe door opens smoothly. Wow. There are hundreds of millions of dollars in it, but they only packed a single bag of money. They weren't there for the money. To be able to break into the vault was enough for them. They successfully withdrew from the site. However, Interpol had already taken notice of them. Soon they came to the second target location, Prague. This operation was much more difficult. Corina hacked the bank's security system. Sebastian and Gwen pretended to be staff members and got into the bank. Sebastian had no key. He just pretended to open the door with his fingers. Corina opened the door remotely. The two came to the vault with ease, but the elevator door just opened, and they met two strong security guards. It was a critical moment. Gwen quickly took action and punched the security guard in the face, then taking one of the security guard's pistols, swinging it on the head of the fat security guard, turning around, and punching the security guard again. After her relentless attacks, the two security guards were beaten with bruised noses and swollen faces, but Gwen didn't stop, turning around and knocking down the fat security guard with a double peek through the ears, easily stunning the thin security guard with a pistol. Gwen's movements were vigorous and neat. The two saw the second legendary safe, the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie was made of pure mithril and engraved with fairy tales. The safe had to be cracked in the order of the story. Otherwise, the concentrated acid inside will destroy the lock core, and it will no longer be able to open. Sebastian did the same finger warm-up, and played the same background music. Sebastian carefully began to adjust the scale. Sadly, at this moment, one of the security guards discovered that the surveillance feed was wrong, and immediately triggered the alarm. It became a dire situation. So Brad came to take over. He put on a hood and rushed into the bank, pretending to be a bank robber. After taking down a few security guards, he was able to take control of the hall. However, the gunfire affected Sebastian, and he clumsily made a mistake. The bearing inside the lock core moved rapidly. The golden ball rotated 360 degrees. The three dials on the great safe suddenly shrank in. This was the first time he had ever failed like this. It turns out that if the angle of rotation of the internal golden ball is 1 point different, the safe will be locked. Now he had only one chance left. Sebastian fought hard. Engrossed in perceiving the internal structure, he attempted to rotate the first dial again. It turns out that the scale is not 70 degrees, neither 71 degrees, but between 70 degrees and 71 degrees. The design of the safe was simply exquisite. Sebastian relies on the hand speed he acquired by being single for 20 years. Completing the first dial, the internal bearing slowly buckles. The second dial is restored again. Sebastian had adjusted his process. The golden ball rotates inside as expected. The third dial was quickly restored. Sure enough, this was the correct way to unlock it. Following his new process, the third code on the dial was also done, slowly turning the grip on the door. With the smooth return of the two bearings, Sebastian finally opened the Valkyrie. We focus on Interpol once again. After rushing to the vault, only to find that they came to the wrong location, the police quickly turned around and came to the targeted bank. However, Sebastian and the others had already begun to evacuate. Brad was shot while retreating, but it was no big deal. After he got in the car, he pulled Gwen in, but Brad pushed Sebastian out. Sebastian had to grab a bicycle and escape. He rode through the alley and skipped past the stairs. Luckily, he found a train and hurriedly climbed on, finally managing to escape. But Sebastian felt depressed. He didn't expect them to get along for a long time. However, he didn't expect to be betrayed so easily, but when Sebastian came home, he found Gwen and Corina had been waiting for him. It turned out that they didn't agree with Brad's decision, so they came to find Sebastian. The three of them decided to break into the third safe. Later, the police rushed to the casino where the third safe was located, but the police learned that the safe had been transferred in advance. The casino owner also thanked the police for their information. The police were confused. What was going on? It turns out, Corina deliberately released fake news to the casino, defrauding the casino to transfer the safe in advance. But the truck driver who transported the safe had been replaced by Sebastian and Gwen. Sebastian saw it. The third safe, Siegfried, forged from gold. There are 7 dials, hundreds of thousands of precision machines inside with trillions of permutations. Any slight mistake, the lock will melt, and the contents of the safe would also burn instantly. But under the interference of the noise from the truck engine, opening this beautiful safe became almost impossible. Sebastian needed Gwen to drive the car as steadily as possible. He did his finger exercises first and started working. Sebastian placed his ears close to the lock, carefully turning the first dial, gently patting the safe with his hand. He tried to make out the inner structure using his ear, but it was too complicated. His image of the structure was incomplete after his first attempt. Sebastian kept patting the lock, relying only on his hearing and brain analysis to analyze the complex structure inside. The chain inside the safe slowly started to run. Sebastian started to decode the dials one by one, and thus bearings were fastened one by one. Miraculously, Sebastian opened 6 locks in a row, but when he hit the last one, the vehicle suddenly encountered a big bend. Not only was Sebastian almost thrown out, the mechanism of the 7th lock almost got stuck. It was a disaster. Sebastian was no longer in control. He followed the position of the lock and hammered hard. He didn't expect a miracle, but he somehow managed to hammer it open. The two prepared to evacuate, but Brad and Rolf suddenly appeared, pointing a gun at the two of them. But Gwen was prepared. The firing pin of Brad's gun was removed in advance. She turned the tables on them and took them down, and handcuffed Brad to the truck. But when the two came to the pier, it was blocked by the police. They reached a critical juncture. Gwen threatened the police with a gun. "If you want me, let Sebastian go. Otherwise, I'll shoot you." The police agreed. Sebastian reluctantly left by boat, but Sebastian knew there'll come a day when they can continue their adventure. Sure enough, soon after, a man and a woman came to Sebastian. In the land of the zombies, they will challenge the final safe, the Twilight of the Gods. That's the end of the film. This film is called Army of Thieves. Our topic for this issue: has the loss of something ever made you sad? Post in the comment area. Kay once lost a small robot toy a desk mate gave as a gift. The robot was able to change shape. I don't know who stole it. Kay was heartbroken for a week. Good thieves are only seen in movies. In reality, we hate thieves. The kind of theft that robbed the rich and helped the poor in the past is not seen in today's society. This film is a prequel to Army of the Dead, but there are no zombies in the main plot. Just a few scenes which appeared in the news and his dreams. Not as good as it could be. If a few zombie scenes were added, this film would look better. Okay, that's it for this issue. This is Kay's channel. Thanks for all your support. Remember to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.